Hello and welcome back. Amir here with another React challenge that could really give you an edge on your interviews. Today we're going to implement an audio player. This audio player, as you can see here, has no style to keep the things simple, and it will have three major parts. One is this part, which is the file chooser, the put element that we use to. Then we have this draw section to control the audio, and then the audio element, audio HTML element that is not visible on the page. And these three parts will work together to provide an audio player. So how can we write that in React? So if you like to try this problem, pause the video and give it a go. Otherwise, grab your laptop and let's code along. Right, I have here my empty app. First, I would write the input element to grab the file. So let's here say return. We have a div with the class name of let's say app, and this is return, like so. And here I should close the div as well. Now I have a input of type, let's say file, asterisk, and then we need to have an onChange, so when the user selects a file, we know what file has been selected. Let's call it handle file change, like so. And of course we need to close it. Great. Now we need to write this function. I have this file. For now it's empty so that the error goes away, and now I have the file selector here. And if I click, I can only select the MP3 or MP4 files. Great. Now what can we do with this file? First, we need to grab the file when the file change happens. In order to do that, we could go and get the file from the event that is being passed here. So e, and then e.target.files, which would give us a list of the files that are selected, and since we're only selecting one file, we get the number 0. Okay, this will give us the file, but from the file, the only thing that we need is the URL that we need to pass to the audio element. So let's say the URL, and the URL can be taken from the URL API and then create object URL of the file. This will give us the URL to the file that can be used on the audio. So if I go here and say log URL, you will probably see a blob. So if I go here and do this and choose some file, you can see that this is the URL that will be used by the audio. Okay, great. Now we need to pass this URL to the audio, which is an HTML element. So I have the audio here. For now it doesn't have any props, but how can I set this URL to this? Well, the best thing to do that is using the ref. So I would define a ref to this audio and then set that here. So let's call it audio ref, and this will be use ref, and in the beginning it will be null, and then here audio ref dot current dot src is the URL. Great. And then I need to set the URL here as well, so like so. Great. Now if you go and select one MP3 or MP4 on your system and do this, you can see that the audio is selected here. So if we go here and go to the audio, you can see that the file is here. Okay, great. Now we need to play or pause the video. So I need to have a button for that. So after here, let's have a div with the class name of let's say controls. I'm just putting the class names here so that you could later on, if you wanted to add the styles for them. And here I can have the button. So button on click would do something. Let's say toggle play. And this button will either be paused or played based on the status of the audio. So slash button, like so. And the status, it should be set by us. So we need to have state to keep the state of the audio ref so that we could see if it's being played or if it's being paused. So let me go here and define state is playing and then set is playing, and at the beginning we are not playing, so use state false. Then here if is playing, then we can pause, otherwise we can play. Okay, we have the error, we didn't define this function, so let's go and write it as well so that we could play the audio file. So const this. Now if we are playing and we press the button, we need to pause it. So we can go to the audio ref dot current, which will point to the audio file, sorry, HTML audio, and then we can say pause. If this is not the case, then we can say play. And of course we need to, when the button is pressed, update the is playing. So we can say set is playing to whatever it is not. So if it's playing, then if it's false, it will be true, and if it's true, it will be false. Great. So let's see, and let's go and see if it works. Let's grab a file and play. So my music is being played. Now the next thing that we want is that slider. In order to have that slider, we can use the input of type range. That would give us a slider. And it has a bunch of properties that we could use. So let's go here and say input. It would be of type range. Now this has a bunch of properties. One is the value, which shows which part of the slider we are in. So value is, for now, let's say 0. It also has a max value, which is the end of the slider. Let me close it. So the max is pointing to this port, and if we are playing up to here, this would be the value that we have now. And there is an unchange that we would write. So for now, unchange does nothing. And the unchange is that when we are at this point and we drag the slider and go to here, then unchange happens. And this is unchange, like so. Great. So how can we write these three parts? Well, the max is basically the duration of the file that is being selected. Okay, but how can we get that? The best thing is that when we update the file, we go and get the duration and save it somewhere. So we need to have a state for the duration and then set the duration like so, and in the beginning it's 0. Now when the file loads, which will happen when the audio ref dot current dot unloaded metadata of the file is loaded. Then we would get a bunch of data from the file. One of them is the duration, so we can set the duration to audio ref, then the current that would point to the audio, HTML audio and then the duration. Okay, now I'm getting the duration, and when this is done I can set it to the max. So the max is the duration. Also I can have two spans here, one for the elapsed time and one for the duration, and I can set these two like this, and this can also be the duration. Now if I save and select another file, I can get the duration. But as you can see, this is not a complete number, so I need to format this, and this is in seconds, so I need to format it to be minutes and second. So let's say format time of this, and this format time that will get a time will have a minute part, which is the floor of this time divided by 60 to give us the minutes, and also the seconds is the same, but here we get the remainder of 60 to see how many seconds is there, and then we can return a string literal to have the minute here and then the second here, like so. But the second is 1 digit. I want this to be like military with 2 digits, so here I would go and say if seconds is let's say less than 10, then 0 plus seconds, otherwise the seconds. Now this is the format that I like. Okay, then for this one, which is the current time, we need to have that here as well, so I need to store the current time so that I can display it here. So this will be something like this with the current time that we haven't written yet, and the current time is basically the time that is we are on, which will be displayed here as well, the time that has passed. So like this, current time, and then set the current time. So as you can see, these are both 0, but I can have them here, and for the value it will be the current time as well. But this will be changed when the audio is played. So when the audio starts, the time updates, and I need to update this value, which is the current time. So, but how do I detect that? So here on the audio, I have another property, which is a function and called on time update. So when the time updates, we can call a function. We can call the update time function, and this function can grab the file, grab the time, and set it to this current time. So here the only thing that we do is set the current time to whatever the audio ref that current time is, like so. So whenever the time of the audio updates, this function will fire, which will fire this one, and then we can update the time. Now this will work, hopefully. So let's go here, grab a file, play, and as you can see, this has updated. Great, there is only one thing left, and that is doing this slider. For now it's not working because we defined it to don't do anything, but the thing that we want to do is that when we drag this around, the time of the audio, this one updates. Okay, so let's go here and say E, which is the event. Then we want to update the audio ref dot current dot current time to be the value that is there. So target dot value, and this works perfect because this end of this slider is what was like 400 something, so this slider would go from 0 to 400 something, and then when we drag it around, so when we get here, this would be like 200 something, which is basically what we have for the audio. So this is this, and of course we need to set the current time accordingly. So we can set that to e.current, e.target that value as well, like so. Now let's refresh again, grab the file, play, and then we can go to the parts that we want on the file. Okay, so this was it for our audio player. As I said, this is pretty simple and basic, but you can of course learn from it or add to it if you want, like have a playlist or have style for these buttons, but I would stop the video at this very moment. So if you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that I can provide more videos like this in near future, and see you in the next video.